I'm Chef Joel Gargano, and welcome to my kitchen. We're going to be making Agnoliotti del Piene with this Rhode Island red fowl. The first thing I got to do is get it roasted. So I'm going to start with the olive oil, and we're going to start to coat the bird. Now the reason we do this is because we want to be able to have the seasoning stick really well to it. And by the time this thing comes out of the oven, you'll see the difference in how crispy the skin is. We're going to add some salt, some black pepper. With that, I have fresh thyme and bay leaf, fresh garlic. We're going to put some into the cavity and underneath to help amplify that aroma. All right, now we're going to take this fowl and we're going to get it into a 350-degree preheated oven for 45 minutes until this thing is roasted golden brown and delicious. So to make the pasta dough, we're going to take 6 large eggs and some 00 flour. The first thing we got to do is separate these eggs. So I'm going to crack on a flat surface to separate the yolk from the white. We have a lot of egg yolk and no egg white in this recipe because we want the texture of this pasta dough to be very luxurious and smooth and soft and easy to bite through. And actually, this is a traditional way to make it. So our flour goes right onto the board. This is the fun part. We're going to make a well in the middle. We're going to take our egg yolks and go right in. And what we're going to do is start to mix. So I'm going to start in the middle. And as I do this, it's going to start to pull in the flour from the outside. So now we're going to start to bring that dough together. When it's all said and done, it should resemble a Play-Doh-like texture. This needs to rest for at least 30 minutes before we continue. While this dough is resting, we're going to check on the fowl that's in the oven. All right. Our fowl is done. We want golden brown skin all the way around. We want to see all the juices have collected in the bottom of the pan and they haven't scorched. So now we're going to pick all the meat to make our filling for the agnoliotti. So now we're going to pour all this delicious juice right over the top. This is going to go right into the meat grinder. The next stage I'm going to do is to roll it out so it fits through our pasta roller. If your dough is the right consistency, it should be very easy to roll out. If it's too tough, that means you added too much flour at that point. This part is important because you start to form the gluten. Gluten is the active protein that's inside of all wheat flour. It gives the pasta structure. And in order to develop this pasta, we need to send it through the roller a few different times to start to develop that gluten and also to get it to the shape that we want. And if your dough starts to feel tacky, that's when you add a little bit more flour. If it doesn't feel tacky, don't add any more flour. I'm going to bring this down to setting number 5, and that should be just thick enough to make our agnoliotti. So as we pipe this, we want to make sure that we leave a really thin line all the way down, no more than about a ½ an inch wide. So that way when we go to form the agnoliotti later, they're smaller shapes. If it's too wide, it's going to bust out through the pasta, and that's definitely not what we want. So we're going to take our pastry brush, we're going to moisten it with just a little bit of water. We're going to run it along just one side of the line. What this is going to do is moisten it just enough so as I fold the pasta over itself, it'll help stick. I'm going to take this wooden dowel that I just got at the hardware store. We're going to use this to help straighten out the agnoliotti. This is important because if there's air left in the pocket, when we boil it, it has a tendency to burst open. I use my fluted cutter, just rip it right down here. And when I pinch, I'm going to press into the cutting board at the same time as pushing inward. And you want the width of each piece of agnoliotti to be about the width of your thumb. Now I'm going to use my fluted cutter again. We're going to push forward. So now it's time to make our agnoliotti del Piene. So the cook time on this pasta is going to take about 3 minutes. In the meantime, we're going to start to build our pan sauce. I have the reserved roasting jus in liquid from the fowl. It's going to go into a pan. And we're going to start to dissolve that. We're going to add just a little bit of red wine vinegar. We're going to take whole butter, and now we're going to emulsify the butter into the sauce. So to do this, you have to keep the pan moving in a constant motion, and it works its way in. You want to move the pan until you get all of that butter dissolved. Then goes our agnoliotti. We're going to take just a little bit of the reserved pasta water. That goes in. That's going to help season it. Keep swirling it around and reducing that liquid to help glaze the outside of the pasta. This is a pasta dish, not soup. So it's important that that sauce reduces down and coats it evenly. This process should take about 2 to 3 minutes. So our agnoliotti is now glazed. Time to go straight to plate.